Hello guys, welcome to the Game Week 10 early transfer talk. Currently, Game Week 9 is not yet over. Still have a game to play, a Monday night fixture. And we did see Erling Haaland in Game Week 9 score a hat-trick and 2 assists in that game against Man U. And that's just phenomenal, as we've always been saying about the Norwegian since the beginning of the season. Does any defense so far have the answer to this man? This we'll be finding out as the season goes on. As things stands now, Haaland is certainly on course to break the Mo Salah's record of 303 points that he got in the 2017-2018 season in the FPL. As the projections look, he could be getting more than 400 points in the near future. For now, let's quickly delve into our transfer thoughts heading into the game week 10. A question that I've been asking myself is this the right time to triple captain Erling Haaland? One thing we should all know by now is a player can be on this amount of form for a period of time, then maybe towards the second half of the season, we see that the form or the class has depreciated. So it is certainly a question to look out for. He did score a back-to-back hat-trick in earlier games this season, and now again we're seeing him score another hat-trick. So you certainly want to consider. But one thing is for sure, the armband's not leaving Erling Haaland's arm for this game week. It's not even something to be considered. Next up, we see Karen Trippier. Trippier was subbed off a few minutes before Newcastle considered their goal, which him get the points for the clean sheets and the bonus point also. However, for game week 10, he faces a Brentford side who has not scored a goal in their last two games against Arsenal and Bournemouth. And considering it's an home fixture, it looks very favourable for the Newcastle man. Also, we see Rhys James. Rhys James didn't do much in his game against Crystal Palace. Not that we're expecting much from him in that particular game. But moving on into future game weeks, he do have exciting fixtures. His game in game week 10 is against Bulls have scored just one goal in their last four games. And looking into this game, it's very favourable that Chelsea could come with a clean sheet in their game against Wolves. We see Martinelli also in the game against Liverpool in the game week 10 fixture. One could be thinking, is it time to move on from the Arsenal assets? But we know very well that Liverpool has been woeful since the beginning of the season, and Arsenal, on the other hand, has been playing exceptionally well, top of the table, and it's actually a good fixture to see what happens. So Martinelli has to stay. However, we'll be looking at what we can do about Bukayo Saka shortly. After the game against Chelsea, we did see Rich James come on to Twitter to say he locked Wilfred Zaha in the game. However, we do know what the Crystal Palace man is capable of, and considering the fixtures from now moving on looks very favourable. I think this all the fixtures we looked set on getting some points from the Crystal Palace man, and let's see what happens in this game week. He faces a lead side who has conceded 7 in their last 4 games and has failed to keep clean sheet in 3 of those 4 games. Everything points to him getting a couple of points for us in that game. Harry Kane is one who catches the eye for his game against Brighton. So far so good. Harry Kane is 2 points short of De Bruyne, who we considered picking in our wildcard selection heading into game week 8. But with games on the horizon and the every likely chance that De Bruyne could be benched in one of all these games, places Harry Kane as a good option. That's primarily how the team is shaping up. Now let's take a look at our transfer plans heading into the game week 10. And we see Saka first of all. Saka is looking set to leave the team. According to plan, he was brought in for a brief run of games, which he has played. And his possible replacement now could be looking like Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, as we stated earlier, is one of the premiums who we considered bringing him into our game week 8 wildcard draft. However, Harry Kane was chosen over him. But with his combination with Erling Haaland in these past couple of games, seems like someone we should consider ahead of the game week 10. But we do know that he has a blank game week 12, and I'm not looking to fill up my ranks with a lot of players who are going to be blanking in game week 12. Right now, we have 4. So it will be important to remove players that have a blank game week 12 and not bring in other players with blank game week 12. Other possible players that could look at is Rashford and Trossard. If we're being realistic, we do know that we didn't expect much from Rashford and Man United in their game away to Man City. The scoreline was a bit disastrous, but we can say we didn't expect much from them. And heading into game week 10, he has games against lesser opponents and one which we know his job running in behind defense could be done. Games against Everton, Newcastle, Spurs for the necessary run of fixtures. Could be games where he can give us a couple of returns. Next person is Trossard. I mean, we have to say the player is phenomenal. Not many players score hat tricks against Liverpool at Anfield. Even after being behind to Liverpool in the game, they still fought their way back for a 3-0 draw in the game against Liverpool. 16 managers triple captain Trossard in the game against Liverpool. Those managers has to be asked certain questions. Only people who can look into the future would dare to do something like that. Heading into future game weeks, his fixtures are not so difficult. He has Tottenham, Brentford, Nottingham Forest before he faces Man City. And with what he did against Liverpool, no one can write him off in his game against Man City also. But for now, he's just a thought heading into future game weeks. We're still yet to see what his new manager, has in store for the team and how they're going to play. We're just seeing glimpses for now. Another player we're looking at transferring out of the team is Mitrovic. Mitrovic came out in the first half of his game against Newcastle. Two possible replacements are Ivan Toney and Dominic Solanke. Since his hat trick against Leeds, Tony has failed to register a return for us in the league, and also he has games now against Newcastle, Brighton, and Chelsea in his next three, which could be tricky fixtures, but we do know what he's capable of naturally, so he's one to look out for. Now, if we do decide to go for Solanke, it will be primarily because he's a budget pick and his returns for being a budget pick is not that terrible. And that move will help us look at funding transfers like bringing in back Mo Salah if need be, and also bringing in the likes of Heung-min Son should we decide to bring him in. So this is what we are currently looking at. But for now, no transfers have been made as we're still looking to hear news on Trovic's injury. So this is how the team is shaping to line up for the game week 10. As usual, Erling Haaland will win the armband. However, this time around, I am looking slightly at introducing the triple captain into this game week just to mix it up a little. Let's see where it can get us. We did see him score a back-to-back hat-trick in earlier games this season, so there's every possibility that he can do that again. And his game against Southampton is one which gives him the opportunity to do that. But for now, no decisions are made, so it is just the normal captain, and the vice captain's armband goes to Harry Kane also in his game against Brentford. Do give us a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and for more contents in the future. From us at FPLcrisp, goodbye for now.